Hello to you. My name is Kadzielska and you are watching Poland Daily Culture. And here with me is Blaisdell, a artist, a musician. I would say you're half Polish, half American. So you're connecting those two things together and living in Warsaw. You're coming from Los Angeles to Warsaw already many years here in Poland.
Mm-hmm.
And so tell me a little bit more about your music, because except the fact you're a businessman, you're still a musician.
Yeah, I figured out a way to somehow apply, my business and technology stuff to my music, which is great. But at the core, music's the longest thing in my life. I originally started actually doing more of strings and metal and was in orchestra for years. But at a very young age, I actually got into hip-hop quite a bit because I realized not only the power of word, so if you want to communicate something very specific or very strong, that hip-hop was the best art form to do that. And also sonically, from a music level, it has the least restrictions. So whether it's electro, jazz, metal, classical, you can mix all of those in a hip-hop and still make it work. Other genres are more limited. So that got me into hip-hop very early on. I spent years after high school in Los Angeles working with independent artists, writing for them, producing, refining my sound. Like I said, I started off with metal originally. So what I'm doing now, though, is kind of combining all these things together. So starting about right before Trump became president, Obama was still president, I started writing an album called The New American Dream, which some songs on it have been released over the past couple months. The full album release comes in the next couple months. And this is kind of this, once again, dystopian look at the United States, except it's not dystopian in the sense of futurism. It ended up being dystopian in the sense of it's happening right now.
Yeah, that's true, because when we're watching US, from being completely fascinated with USA a few years ago, and right now I'm looking with from those titles and those statements of many great, even like Columbia professors who just said that we need to get rid of all white literature from the classics. And I'm like...
Yeah, well, these are things that have been building for decades. So more than anything, I view myself as a social observer, whether that be, what I do with startups or whether it be what I do with music. So these are things that I was observing and innately kind of on the ground floor in, I know radical left-wing anarcho-communists, right? And I know radical right-wing guys, and I speak to both of them, and I'm trying to understand. And what's happened is a culture war was created, and it was fueled by, major media and major political powers for whatever benefit. Either way, the point is that, about 5 years ago, I started writing this album and creating it and stuff like that, to be my first big my first solo launch into the world. And I'm mixing the technology elements with all my music as well. A little bit less on this one, but more on subsequent ones. So we spoke a little bit earlier around the Mr. Crypto element. That's not just an album in that sense, but we're going to, tokenize lots of elements, allow users or fans or listeners to engage with that music in a different way, meaning if I go and I listen to the whole album on my native site and not YouTube or Spotify, I'm going to give you something for that.
I see. Okay, so you get viewers or listeners involved in...
Yeah, and as we talked earlier, we're human beings, so being incentivized runs majority of our decision making. So, as I said, my thing isn't to come in and kill, the models and kill Spotify's or whatever, but provide alternatives that incentivize, users to engage with them. So that's something you're going to be seeing coming out over this year and next year. And, that's going to be mixed in with some kind of conceptual projects or products, like, we talked about Tixie earlier, or we're coming out with a project called Game Changers, which mixes kind of gaming and music. So there's going to be a lot of interesting stuff happening, not just in music, but countless industries. But I hope to be, I treat myself as kind of the guinea pig
Okay.
My own guinea pig for my own experiment. So, you know, last year in 2019 and early 2020, before, you know, COVID stuff happened, I would start giving away Bitcoin to fans at concerts.
Really?
Yeah, so I'd do like a little thing of, you know, an announcement. I'd say, hey, you know, film this on Instagram, post it up, tag me. I'll pick 2 of you and I'll give you guys some Bitcoin. There's a video of me doing it on YouTube.
Bitcoins being so expensive right now.
Well, the beauty of Bitcoin, though, is I can give you 0.00000000001 of a Bitcoin, right? And that's another revolution that's going to happen with this stuff compared to the way the world is now, where we view things of 1 of 1. No, it's just like, you know, I can own the rights to my song, or I can let someone buy 0.01% of the rights to my song, and I can tokenize that in a crypto thing.
But that's a very complicated thing. It's like cutting the songs
It's really simple when people look at it. When I talk to financial people about Bitcoin, like old guys, the ones who don't get it, it's because the financial system today has been made so complicated and convoluted that they don't understand. They lost sight of the basic things.
I see. Well, okay, it depends on you to how many pieces you want to cut your song to, but you kind of need to keep the track of it.
Yeah, but remember what I told you earlier about this tech. It's all immutable. It's all there. Every transaction in the history of Bitcoin is in its blockchain, and you can see it.
Okay, that's true. So you can. It's
fully immutable.
Immutable. That's, so, that's a good point of it.
Yeah. So people who are scared around crypto, around like money laundering or things like that, a company I helped create, CoinFirm, is a global leader in fighting that. And what we've shown is that the traditional financial industry is like 2% effective at fighting money laundering, and we're in the 90 percentile. So cryptocurrency is actually the most traceable and asset ever created.
Okay, that I fully understand, and I would say, well, interesting for the...
Good place to end. We went off on a tangent.
No, but also the fact, like, it gives you to an artist so much possibility, and it also makes all artists that you actually need to learn more math.
Well, I don't think about. I'm really bad at math. I'm good at quick math. But no, they need to understand alternative models, right? So I can't tell you how many. I can talk to high-end business people, and just because they've been stuck into a certain way of thinking and a certain process for so long, to take them outside of it, you know, it's like telling a evangelical Christian that, you know, the possibility of God not existing could exist, right? It just doesn't fit in their worldview. So there's an educational curve, there's a battle, and as I said earlier, the artists or the big companies who don't latch on to these changes will die out over time.
Well, definitely they have an opportunity right now to pull the strings, and such kind of technology give them to that. If you want to check more, go to the internet and Grant Blaisdell on social media. I'm sure he will explain more to you. And thank you very much for watching Thailand Daily Culture.